So here's a question. Why aren't you free roaming your rabbit? There could be a variety of unavoidable reasons, but if your answer is because you don't trust them not to be destructive, I'm going to tell you right now, that's not an unavoidable reason. So let us show you the Bunnies Brigade way to knocking that on the head. Welcome back to the channel. This is Pepper. Behind me, you might see in the background Wally. My name's Leanna. I'm a clicker trainer and rabbit behaviorist, and we're here to get people rethinking rabbit care by proving how intelligent and completely trainable they are. So this is the biggest problem of them all, isn't it? Especially as spring fever has well and truly set in. How do we stop our rabbits from chewing the walls, the furniture, from tearing up the carpet? The solution is found with clicker training. Through clicker training, we can clearly and effectively communicate to our rabbits what they can dig and chew, which in turn will phase out their fixation with the things you'd rather not have damaged. If this is the first time you're hearing about clicker training your rabbit, you will need to watch this video where I explain the methodology of it and help you introduce the clicker to your rabbit. Now, it's really important your rabbit is introduced to the clicker before you begin any specific training, as the click sound may spook some rabbits initially, and that will prove counterproductive. In our last video, we suggested 10 toys, all great for redirecting unwanted chewing and or digging. So you'll want to be getting your hands on some of those items. Some key ones are the cardboard cat scratchers and the wicker baskets. And here's another one. If you're at all able to source fresh cut logs, something like this, then get them. And no, you can't find these on Amazon. That's why they didn't make the cut in my last video. This is apple wood. Other safe woods are pear, willow, sycamore, ash, hazel, just to name a few. You must try and get them fresh though in order for them to do the trick. The fresher they are, the more attracted to them your rabbits will be. They will absolutely love chewing and stripping off the fresh bark. Ours are a fair few years old now, so Wally and Pepper really don't show much interest in them. I'm not gonna lie, if you live in a city, it will probably be near impossible to find any logs. Trust me, we're in LA. I apologize for the interruption that's going on in the background in this video. But we're in LA, as you can tell, and we have to go out of town in order to get our logs if we want them, whenever there's an opportune moment to do so. Also, don't forget about the all-important dig box. You don't have to spend money on something fancy if you don't want to. A simple, large cardboard box works. We used to have one of those big chewy boxes. Cut a few holes into the box and fill it with brown parcel paper or masking paper, and ta-da! You have yourself a makeshift dig box. You will also need your clicker and, of course, treats. It's really key to make sure you're setting your bunnies up to succeed in this training. This means removing tempting items that can be moved. Remember, try to think like your rabbit. Consider if the things they're chewing are just simply in their way. Rabbits like to have open, unobstructed rump parts. A good example is Pepper and Wally used to chew our bed frame because it was too low and they had to squeeze under it. So when we got a new bed, we opted for something higher, and they've never been happier. If you take a look from their level, the bedroom now looks like a big open area, yet still well sheltered from predators. You know, all those terrifying predators that frequent our bedrooms. Of course, you don't need to immediately go out and buy new furniture, but definitely get down on the floor and observe your home from their perspective. You might find that rearranging your furniture will accommodate them better. As for things you can't move, cover them up. Clear plastic corner protectors that you can buy from DIY shops or hardware stores for our American friends are a great option for protecting bed frames that your bunnies might deem too low, for example. They're neat and they're inconspicuous. So now I'm kind of getting into the realm of bunny proofing. Your home should, of course, be well bunny proofed. And I will be making a video about all my bunny proofing ideas, so look out for that. Much like with litter training, to set them up for success, you will need to be able to confine them to a play area where they can't cause any unwanted damage. That way, we can prevent these bad habits from getting any worse. Whether it's a pen, a room, a part of a room, as you train them to break their destructive habits, they will need to be confined when you are not able to supervise. That means if you have a severely destructive rabbit, they may need to be penned even if you leave the room for just a few minutes. And now you don't need to watch them like a hawk when they are free roaming, but they should be within earshot. All of this is not only to help with their learning, but also to avoid your own frustrations. A destructive pet can be very frustrating, and that frustration will not be conducive as we approach this training. Right, so the main part of this training is quite simply encouraging play with their toys. Let's use a cat scratcher as an example. You can use the capturing method by clicking and rewarding whenever they show interest in the cat scratcher. Maybe it's just a nose touch at first as they sniff it to check it out. Click the moment they touch it and then reward straight away. Maybe your rabbit's got straight to it and they've already started digging and chewing at the scratcher. Fantastic. If you see them do this, click whilst they're doing it, reward, and then let them play with it as much as they like. Once they have finished playing, reward again. The reason I suggest not repeatedly rewarding like we would do with the place training, for example, is you want to keep it about the toy itself and not to distract them too much with treats. We want to be fulfilling their instinctual urges of chewing and digging by playing with the toy, so that when you eventually come to free roaming or giving access to larger areas, you can trust them to make the right choice on their own without you being there to treat them. Remember, repetition is key. So every time you see them using the toy, click and reward, and then offer them a second reward once they've finished. You can, if you like, start saying the name of the toy to use as a command key.
Dig pad.
Then clicking and rewarding. You don't have to add a command though. I rarely use commands to request they play with their toys. If they want to play with them, they'll play of their own volition. But that said, if they do know the name of the toy, it can be a helpful addition when it comes to redirecting, which I'll be talking on in a few moments. So if you do want to add a cue, it's like it always is, follow the regular steps where you progressively work on giving the command earlier and earlier. So as they're just about to use the toy, as they're moving toward the toy, and then eventually aiming on saying the cue word and then having them respond by playing with it. All of that is in the Clicker Training 101 video if you want that more detailed for you. With their increasing use of the toy, and especially if they now know the name of the toy, you can go ahead and remove the clicker. And they shouldn't need to be rewarded for approaching it anymore either. Perhaps you might want to continue to give them a treat when they finish playing, and then it's really up to you if you want to fade that out or always give them an occasional little reward, whatever. Now let's rewind all the way back to introducing the toy again. In the case that they don't go near the toy at all, use the luring method. Put the toy in front of them and show them a treat. Guide them with the treat toward the toy until they touch it. Once they touch, click and give them the treat. Again, repeat. It's all about the repetition. If this is where you're at, you want to be doing this multiple times a day, every day. The luring method should quickly turn into the capturing method as they begin to associate the action with the resulting reward, and then obviously go through the motions as previously discussed. So let's talk for a moment about the dig box. The reason I swear by dig boxes is because training your bunny to use them requires minimal effort from you. Simply scatter the treats inside so they're hidden amongst the brown paper that I suggested using as digging material. Your bunnies will go to town digging around, tearing up the paper and finding tasty rewards for doing so. You really don't even need a clicker for it. Dig boxes will tire them out and make them feel like they've achieved something, like a good session of bunstruction complete. Encouraging natural instincts is so easy. They'll find it fun and satisfying, and this alone is often entertainment enough that it will remove any interest they had with your walls, carpet, your furniture. But you may find the unwanted behavior phases out very gradually. And a good way to help that along is by saying no and redirecting them. Make it a sharp no, and then offer them a relevant toy. For example, if it's the carpet they're digging at, present them with the cat scratcher. If it's the wall they're trying to chew, a wicker basket or fresh log are good alternatives. If they then go ahead and use that toy, they can have a reward for doing so. This is where, if you've already taught a cue word, it could prove useful to verbally instruct them to use the toy. I found that rabbits favor visual cues though, and that's why simply showing them the toy often proves to be enough from my experience. It's imperative you redirect bad behavior every single time. That's why in order to succeed in this, you must confine them when you're not able to keep an eye on them. If you fail to redirect them, it will just make training more difficult and it will take longer. Now, of course, there does come a time when you need to take the leap and trust them with a little more freedom. If you're noticing that they're rarely acting up and they're consistently making their own choice to dig and chew their toys, then you can start leaving them alone for short periods. Start by just going in the other room during their most active times of the day, maybe. Go to the other room for maybe just a few minutes. If they've refrained from being destructive, extend that time, and so on and so forth. If that's all been successful, you should move on to actually leaving the house. And it's at this point that I would recommend getting a pet cam. I mean, honestly, a pet cam is useful when you're just leaving the room as well, especially if you have a larger home. If you can't view the whole area they have access to, point it at the specific problem areas, or else you can obviously always get more than one camera, but make sure that those wires are bunny proofed and out of reach. The camera we use is the Blink Mini from Amazon. It's inexpensive and I like it because it has motion detection and two-way audio. You can operate it via the phone app where you can arm it, view the live feed and speak to them through the camera's built-in speaker if you need to. Don't expect incredible quality. The camera's microphone definitely leaves something to be desired. But as I say, it doesn't cost a lot at all and it serves its purpose. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you're interested. If you have reinforced the redirection training enough, they should respond to your voice through the camera speaker without any problem. The trouble I have run into though is if you are away for too long and they're feeling particularly persistent, they will eventually realize that you are just a voice and there's nothing you can actually do to stop them. They're not stupid. But that's why it's good to gradually increase the time you're away and don't go too far from your home so you can quickly return if you need to. Also, experiment with leaving during their nap times instead of their crazy active times. And as you move forward, you can travel further from home, leave for longer chunks of time, and work on trusting them more during those hyperactive times of day. Feel out what works for you, your bunny, and your situation. And before you know it, your bunny or bunnies could be free roaming 24/7. Finally, I just want to address the advice I've seen and heard others give to combat destructive behavior. Things like shouting, spraying water at them, giving them a tap on the nose, putting them in a timeout. The theory is it builds a negative association with the unwanted behavior. But as I've said before, chewing and digging are natural instincts for a rabbit. In the wild, these skills are necessary for their survival. Not only this, but chewing keeps their continually growing teeth trimmed and healthy. You cannot stop a rabbit from chewing. They don't just want to, they need to. Therefore, scolding them, especially without offering them an alternative outlet, is only going to frustrate them and potentially make matters worse. They may even come to fear you, damaging that bond we work so hard to establish with our rabbits. Thanks for watching, Brigadiers. Remember to have patience and take baby steps as you work with your bunnies on this training. Comment below how you think this might help your situation, and remember, I always love hearing about your progress. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell, and we will see you in the next one, won't we? Yes.